Hey there, this is Chris Schaffer. I'm making this video to demonstrate a gradebook that I've created in Python that may be helpful for some of you who, like me, are using standards-based grading or objectives-based grading, whatever you want to call it these days. It's available from my GitHub site. There's actually some other stuff on there that might be interesting to you as well. It's a really simple. You can download the zip, or if you use GitHub, you can clone this on your computer with the command line. There's just a few files. In fact, the only files you really need are the gradebook file, the reports file, and the student template. These others are there to help you kind of see what you're doing. It does, however, require that you install a couple of other open source tools. These are free to download and install, and they're great things to have even besides for this gradebook. They generate really nice output for a lot of different things. So check out Multi-Markdown, LaTeX, and then the templates. You'll need those to run this script, but they're definitely worth it. My scripts are also open source here, so you can use them pretty much any way you want, as long as you don't make changes to them and then not give people the source code. As long as you are willing to share, if you make it public or just use it for private use, that's totally fine. If you do make any changes, let me know, because if they're worth incorporating, I might put that back into mine. But anyway, here we go. Let me show you what this does really quick, and then I'll show you how to use it in case it's something that you want to do. Basically, these scripts take something that look like this. This is the text version, or this is the spreadsheet version. Names of the grading objectives or the standards, categories that they fit in, whether or not they've passed, attempted, or not attempted, the scale that they're graded on, and then the actual assessment. What did they get and on what date? Take something in that format for each student, and it produces something that looks like this. So grade report for Wolfgang Mozart, an overall kind of overview of what's going on, what percentage. I got to add the percent signs. I'll do that later. What percent of the objectives they met for each category, and what their median score is in that category. And then for each category, we list those objectives, whether they've passed, not attempted, or attempted, the scale, and what they've got, and when. And so you'll get this for every category in the list. In the database. And then the best thing about this, really, actually, I think, is that it puts those reports in folders for each student. So if you set up those folders as Dropbox folders, and you share it with the student, then every time you grade and run this script, it will update the grade report for them, and then the next time that their computer is on and connected to the internet, it will sync with the Dropbox folder, so they'll automatically have the most recent report on their computer, and it'll also have the date on it as well, and so they'll know how recent it is and whether their most recent assessment attempts have been included. So I'm going to use this semester. It's designed around my grading system and my work with my students. I'm hoping it's useful for some of you, and I'm willing to take feature requests as well. So let me just show you real quick the nuts and bolts of how it works, and then you can send me an email or a tweet if you have any questions or bugs or feature requests, whatever. Again, it's designed around what I do, but if something you do seems useful, I would be willing to add it when I have time. Okay, so basically what you want to do is you want to download these files. You can download a zip. If you don't use Git, that's fine. Just download a zip file. And then you make a folder. This is called Gradebook, but I would make a folder for each course. So in my case, I have Musicianship 1, Musicianship 3 this semester. I'd make a folder, Musicianship 1, and then I'd put the reports file, the gradebook file, and the student template all in that new folder. So let's just pretend this is my Musicianship 1 class, and I've got Mozart, Haydn, and Bach in my class. They're my students. Each student needs a CSV file that has a list of all the objectives. So this comes with a student template to make sure you keep it formatted properly. It has the headings here, and you can do this in either a text editor, which I prefer, or in a spreadsheet or database application. I think even Bento can export in this kind of file format. If you edit it here, you'll have to go to File, Export, or whatever it is in Microsoft Office and go with CSV, and then you can use that. Name your objectives for the course, and it's really important to do this on the template before you start doing all the students so they all match. That way the percentages of objectives fulfilled line up properly with the student's progress. And then I categorize mine, and they have to get a certain percent of each category mastered by the end of the semester for different grade levels. If you don't do that, you can just call them all standards or objectives, and then the report will still work. It will just group them all together. Status, the way I wrote this, it has to be N, A, or P, capital letters. So N is not attempted, A is attempted but not yet passed or mastered, and P is passed. Scale is the scale that you calculate them on. I have either pass-fail objectives, so that's 1 or 0, so it'd be a 1-point scale, and 4-point objectives, which I know a lot of people use. In fact, let me show you an actual file here. So the the scale will be 1, so it's either 1 or 0, 4, so 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then the date. And then I leave room for 2 assessments because I keep track of the 2 most recent, and all of my objectives have to be met once or twice. If you want to keep track of more, you can alter the program as you wish, or ask me and I can help you out with that. But I only keep track of the most recent 2 because that's all they would need to pass each objective. So basically set up your template with all the objectives for the semester as best you can at the beginning of the semester, the year, the course, and then make a copy of that save a copy and name it for each student. So I do last name, first initial, and then you also need a folder for that student with the last name and their first initial. They have to match. And then these, of course, are the folders that I will share with my students on Dropbox. You can also just give them a link to the folder, then they have to download the things directly. But I like to share the folder, and I'm not putting in anything that's important for me to keep. So it's okay if they delete them. These are just the PDF files or videos or media that I'm sharing with them. My records stay on my computer, the CSV file, in a non-shared folder. So these are good folders for them that will just automatically sync whatever I give them, so it's ready to go. I know they have it as long as they've been on the internet. Okay, so once you've done that for every student, I have a class of 3 students here, Mozart, Haydn, and Bach. They each have a CSV file with some assessments in it, and they each have a folder with the same name as a CSV file. Now, there's one other bit of setup you need to do. You need to open the gradebook file and go to Instructor and change the name from my name to yours and the name of the course. And if you're doing multiple courses, basically just copy the gradebook and the reports and the template files into each course's folder and change the course for each one as you need to. It's probably just easiest to do it that way. So that will give you, for this class, I'm just saying this is Music 1 and I'm the instructor. Now once I have the grades in and once I've done that, it's actually really easy. I go to the command line and I'm already there, but let's say you open the command line, it starts in your home folder. You simply go to that folder that your material is in. You can double check that you're in the right place. Yes, that's the right folder. And then it's really simple. /reports.py will do the whole shebang, and then watch the magic that happens. LaTeX spits out a lot of temp files, which it will erase when it's done, or my script will erase when it's done, and it gives a lot of comments. If you've entered everything properly, it should be fine, and then once we get to the prompt, we know we're done. It's still cleaning up some stuff. You can see Dropbox is already syncing what I did as this continues to work. And then I come over here and I can look in, say, Bach's folder, and there's the report. So here's his CSV file. You can see in category 1 we've got 5 assessments, and he's passed all of them, or 4 assessments, he's passed all of them. And then this will show the report here. Then in category 1, he's met all 4 objectives, attempted them all, a median score of 3.5, and we can see that down here. Each category has its own table, so you can see what exactly he did in each of these. I should mention the median scores are just for the 4-point objectives, and the reason I do that is because if they have a median score of 4, then they get in all of the, overall they get an A, and a 3 they get a B. Provided they've met all the objectives. If you don't need to use that, that's fine, but that's there because I use it for that. But obviously 1 or 0, I don't need a median score there. They've either passed or failed those objectives, and that's all there is to it. So basically that's what the student reports will look like. They'll probably be a bit longer, but for each category you have a list of objectives in that category and how they've done on those objectives. And that allows a student then to look and see which category they need some work in, even starting here. Now Bach is a pretty good student. Let me show you maybe Mozart, who didn't do so well as Bach. For example, in category 3, he didn't even attempt any of the objectives. And so we can see right there that he's not doing so hot, but it's category 3 he really needs to get in gear. We can see that right away. That's where he needs to focus. And then we go over here. Okay, he hasn't attempted those. And then he's still not doing so hot in either of these other objectives, and this will show categories, and this will show which objectives he needs to go back and work on. So it's pretty helpful. The last thing this will generate is a report for the course, which is good for the instructor as they're guiding what class is going to do. It'll go through each category, it lists every student and how they've done in that category. And so when I'm sitting down trying to decide what we're going to do in class the next week or two, I might look here and see which category students in general are not doing so hot on. For instance, up here, it's only Mozart who's slacking off, so I'm not going to pay much attention to that. I'm just going to, send him an email saying, hey, let's get a little better here. But maybe down here where everybody's attempted most of the stuff, but a couple people still aren't doing so good, I might want to focus a little harder on that in class or in assignments and readings, and or get in touch with these people about that. So that, of course, stays on my drive, my folder, my computer. It's not shared, but each student gets their own report shared. That's pretty much how it works. It's pretty easy to enter the stuff. Once the template is set up and it's working well, then it's just a matter of plugging in numbers and entering in that one command at the command line. And so every time you grade, save these files or export them from your database or spreadsheet, go to the command line and run reports, and every student will have an up-to-date version of their grades. So I hope that's helpful for others. I mean, it was worthwhile for me just to do this because it's going to make my life a lot easier. If it helps you, it's great. I'd love to hear if you're using it or if you have ideas to improve it or some features that might be helpful for you or for others. And I'll try to add those when I have time. So thanks. Let me know what you think, and I will go right now and add those % signs and upload that to GitHub, and happy downloading and happy assessing, but more important, happy teaching. Thanks.